Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. As you might be able to tell in the background, I'm in Singapore and this is the first official day of a 2-week adventure that I'm doing with my girlfriend. We're here in Singapore for about 2 days before then moving on to the Philippines, where we'll be spending our time in Cebu and the Palawan Islands. And we actually arrived in Singapore last night. We got back to the hotel at about 7:30, I would say. And we spent the evening just walking around the marina and yeah, just sort of soaking up the ambience. We managed to see one of the light shows over by the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. And yeah, it was a really good evening. It was a bit of a surprise evening, to be honest, because we didn't expect to have that much time after coming out of the airport. I expected to be in the airport a little bit longer than we were. So we pretty much dropped the bags off at the hotel and just came here. I didn't really video much. I obviously took the camera with me. So I haven't got much footage from there, but if I do have any, I'll pop it up now. And this is actually my second visit to Singapore. I came here about 3 or 4 years ago, back in 2019. And again, I sort of stayed for a similar amount of time, 2 or 3 days. And I just absolutely loved the city. It was just so amazing. So I really wanted to come back at some point. I didn't anticipate coming back so soon. But yeah, just the way things worked out with going to the Philippines, it made sense to stop over in Singapore. So another reason that I wanted to come back to Singapore was basically when I was here last, the Formula 1 was on. And if you know anything about that circuit, you'll know that it's a street circuit and it takes up a lot of the city and they close a lot of the roads. So it meant that I wasn't able to explore a lot of the city that I wanted to. So I basically came away thinking I hadn't really explored all of the city, and there were some shots that I really wanted to get here that I just couldn't get at the time. In hindsight, it did work out quite well that the Formula 1 was on. I managed to get some pretty good shots of the fireworks that go off at the end of the race. So what I've done this morning is come out really early, way before sunrise, basically to capture that blue hour and get that perfect balance between all the street lights being on and it being light enough to make the sky a little bit more interesting. So as you can see in the background, I've got the Merlion and the spouting water in front of all those amazing buildings. This is a shot that I got back in 2019, but I thought it was worth coming back to see if I could recreate that and improve on it slightly. Back then I didn't have the wide angle lens, so I'm able to get some slightly different images than what I got the last time. This might be somewhere that I'll come back to, maybe sunrise tomorrow morning or on our last day. I think I got it here a little bit too late. As you can see in the background, the lights on the buildings have gone out. And it's turned out to be quite a nice morning. Get some direct sunlight now, which is really nice, illuminating those buildings in the background. And yeah, it's been a bit hit and miss with the weather. When we arrived yesterday, it was raining, a bit drizzly. But then when we actually got out and walked around the marina, it was dry. So, and obviously looking at the forecast, it's a bit of a mixed bag, as is most of Asia when it comes to weather forecasts. We've actually got a reservation to stay at the Marina Bay Sands Hotel, so I'll show you that later, but you'll probably have seen the infinity pool that overlooks the city. So we're going to do that later today. We're really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a really great experience. So that is the morning shoot just about done. What I'm going to do now is head back to the hotel, and I think we're going to find some breakfast or something. Really enjoyed that actually. I ended up finding some good compositions, and I sort of managed to use some of the flowers that are blooming here at the moment. And yeah, I think I got one that I quite like. Just walking past the Raffles Hotel. We passed it quite a few times going back to the hotel. I think we will probably go for a drink there and get one of the gin slings that apparently is the done thing to do when you come to Singapore. Before checking out of our hotel, we wandered over to Little India, and once we got there, we were quite surprised to be amongst some kind of festival, which made the area incredibly vibrant and busy. And we've made it to the gardens by the bay. This is a really spectacular park. Some great sculptures, as you might be able to see in the background there. We checked out of our old hotel, dropped the bags off at the new one, the Marina Bay Sands, and we're a little bit early, so we're just going to walk around the park for a couple of hours and then probably check in, go to our room, and then probably go straight to the pool, I think. So we've just checked into our hotel room, and it is absolutely amazing. Probably the most luxurious rooms that I've stayed in. As you can see, I've got my robe on. So what we're going to do now is go to the rooftop and check out the infinity pool. Well, as you can see, the heavens opened, and it wasn't quite the relaxing afternoon swim we had in mind. We probably got about 10 minutes before it started to rain, and it looked like it wasn't going to ease up anytime soon. We spent most of the afternoon in the food court and tried the many different cuisines on offer. After the weather cleared up, we spent the early evening walking around the Supergrove trees, which has a spectacular light show every evening. speaking from the top of Marina Bay Sands Hotel. I'm currently in the infinity pool and it is absolutely amazing. The views are incredible. Yeah, this is definitely worthwhile experience. Really cool. This has been a really fantastic day. We weren't sure whether in the middle of the day whether we'd actually be able to do this. It was raining so much. Good morning everybody, and welcome back to day, I think this is day 3. A bit of a slow start to the day. We actually slept through the alarm this morning, so I didn't actually get up for sunrise. The plan was to get on the top of the hotel, but we obviously didn't quite manage it. I think the jet lag and the lack of sleep on my part has probably caught up with me a bit. What we did instead is we went to the food court in the main shopping centre here, and we had one of the traditional Singapore breakfasts, which was really nice. Because we've caught up on a bit of sleep now, I think that will probably give us a little bit more energy later on in the day, so we might explore a bit more into the night this time.
After checking out of one hotel and checking into another, we made our way to Chinatown.
Just wandering through Chinatown at the moment. Yeah, just sort of looking at the shops and probably get something to eat here as well. Yeah, last time I came here wasn't for very long, so sort of looking to make up for that, spending a bit longer here. Probably be here for an hour, 2 hours, and then we'll probably go back to the Marina Bay and walk along the bit that we haven't quite seen yet. And then sunset location, haven't quite decided yet, so I think we'll just sort of play it by how we feel and where we are at that time. So yeah, at the moment just enjoying having a stroll through the streets. Yeah, there's so much here in terms of food and shopping. One thing that I forgot to do last time I was here was actually look up, because there's lovely colours, the doors and the covers over the windows. I think because last time it was so busy, I think I must have visited on a Sunday, so there were loads of sort of temporary stalls set up, which kind of made looking up at anything else quite impossible. So yeah, it's quite nice to walk around and it not be so busy. You can sort of take your time a bit. Right, so I've got this shot framed up, as you can see in the background, and what I quite like about this one is it's a good mix and a good contrast between the older houses, and then you've got all the skyscrapers and all the new buildings in the background, and yeah, I just like the contrast that makes. I've seen a couple of images of how this area looked before all of the skyscrapers, and yeah, it's just crazy to see how much has been developed in Singapore in the last 30, 40, 50 years. So I think this is a good shot to represent that.
As the evening drew closer, we headed back to the Gardens by the Bay in search of a spot to watch the sunset. In the end, we were really lucky to literally just stumble upon this location, and for me, provided a perfect chance to capture those beautiful clouds. And we ended the evening with a quick visit to the Raffles Hotel to have one of their famed gin Sling cocktails. The next morning I headed back to the bay to revisit some locations I saw the day before.
So on our last day here in Singapore, I've come down to the Merlion, as you might be able to see in the background there. And yeah, it's really, really nice morning. Very still, very calm. And yeah, getting some nice colour in the clouds right above the Marina Bay Sands Hotel. And yeah, we actually came to this location yesterday afternoon and thought it might be a good one to get a slightly different perspective on the hotel in the back there. But there's a really good view just behind me there. We can get a lot of the skyscrapers, and then there's a nice kind of sort of pond, lakey bit in the foreground, which works quite well. There's also some wildflowers, or some flowers potted along the walkway. So I'm just sort of using that as a foreground, which I think works quite well. It's makes a bit of a change, and hopefully it's something a little bit more unique from this location. Just really love the colours of the flowers in the foreground against the skyscrapers in the background. I think it's such a good colour contrast because the sky is still a little bit blue in that direction. What I'm doing is getting the camera as close to those flowers as possible, just to accentuate them with the wide angle lens, and then I'm focus stacking with the buildings in the background. So yeah, I think I'm gonna head back to the hotel now. And really nice morning, a bit different to the first morning that we had here. A little bit less sun, but a little bit more colour in the clouds. I'm glad I walked down to this part of the bay where the flowers were, because I think that was probably one of my favourite images from the trip. Like I said earlier, this is our last morning in Singapore, so I'm going to head back to the hotel, and we've literally got to go to the airport straight away, catch a flight first to Manila, and then we'll go on to Cebu all in the same day. So might be a long day of travelling, we'll see. I was saying earlier that I think Singapore is a really great place to come if you've never been to Asia before. So I think it's a good blend of lots of different cultures in quite a small area. Definitely glad that I came and experienced it twice. But yeah, whether I'll be back again, not too sure. I don't think it will be in the near future, but might be interesting to come back here well in the future and see how it's changed. But yeah, as you can see, the sun is shining on my face, so might take one last image.